Hello, everyone, and welcome to a Tuesday edition of the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. Dan Labbe with Mary Kay Cabot, and I thought today, Mary Kay, we could get into some storylines as we're in this in-between stage of the off-season program, training camp, the season. I figured we could just kind of throw out some of the storylines that we're watching. It can be training camp related, it can be season related, it can be whatever we want. We can take this wherever we want to go, so we'll just kind of go back and forth and throw these out. So why don't you just get us started with what's one storyline that you're really watching for this year?
Well, I think it's probably the obvious one. Is Deshaun Watson the Deshaun Watson of 2020? Is he the three-time Pro Bowler that the Browns went out and spent $230 million on and traded 3 first-round picks for? Is he that guy? The national media hasn't bought into that. They're not seeing it yet. They're not believing it. I still think he can be that guy, but I think this is the big debate. Who is Deshaun Watson? What is Deshaun Watson? And will he be transformed in this new offense and, with this upgraded receiving core?
Yeah, so I was reading something today with the Nuggets winning the championship yesterday, their first title. I think it was NFL.com. Maybe it was somewhere, I can't remember where it was, put up a list of NFL teams who could be this year's, like this version of the Nuggets, right? Go win their first title. And there was one tier of, you're talking teams like the Bills, things like that, like Super Bowl titles. But then the Browns were listed in this second tier. And the whole gist of it was, this is a really talented roster. And if Deshaun Watson is Deshaun Watson, then they belong in this discussion. If not, then they probably won't be that team. I mean, it really is kind of all about Deshaun.
It really is. But what's so funny to me, Dan, is that people think that Deshaun Watson just forgot how to play quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't really understand that. I realize that he had a 700-day layoff, but that's over now. He's played 6 games since then. So that's in the rearview mirror, in my opinion. I think he still has to maybe get back to his exact 2020 or Pro Bowl form, but I don't think he's all of a sudden forgotten how to play the game. I think he was still acclimating to a new scheme. The coaches were, figuring out how to call the game for him. He did not have the supporting cast that he needed to have last year. He didn't really have a deep ball threat. There were so many things that just, weren't what they needed to be. He did have Amari Cooper and he did have Donovan Peoples-Jones, but for the most part it was Amari and a bunch of kind of younger guys. So I think now he's got more of what he needs. I still think it would have helped to add D-Hop. I still think that, for many reasons, they should have at least brought him in and talked to him, taken a look at him. But I think that Deshaun Watson has the potential to be his Pro Bowl self this season.
And I do think a part of it is those 6 games were so bad for the most part that I think a lot of people got freaked out by those. But even if he's not like 2020 Deshaun Watson, I can guarantee you he's not 2022 Deshaun Watson either. I mean, you're talking about 58% completion percentage, 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions in those 6 games. His yards per attempt was all the way down to 6.5, which is the lowest total in his career. QBR was 38.3, the lowest total in his career. He got sacked 20 times in those 6 games. Obviously, he's a guy that's been sacked a lot. Sometimes it's on his O-line, sometimes it's on him, but he's always been a guy that's taken a lot of sacks. But still, even if it's not the, hey, lead the league in passing yards, Deshaun Watson, there's just no way that it's as bad as it was last year.
No, and people do not want to buy in. People do not want to utter the words that, hey, Deshaun Watson might still be a good quarterback. People are so many in the national media are so still completely put off by his off the field transgressions that they don't want to talk about him in those terms. And I think the graphic that you're talking about came from something that we just talked about on Sports for Clee and I think it was on NFL Network, and it was Kyle Brandt, and the way he talked about the Cleveland Browns, it was about, they're taboo to talk about, and we might have to start talking about them, and we might have to break through that taboo. And I think the taboo comes from Deshaun Watson. I think people don't want to go there. And, I mean, that's not for us to judge, but I think that's what's happening out there. That people just aren't ready to look at this Cleveland Browns football team as a bona fide contender because, they aren't ready to go there yet with Deshaun Watson. As I've said many times before, I mean, we're here.